Well, here we are again. Lockdown. Is that lockdown number 4? At least it's only for a week, and hopefully it will end today. Today being Friday. Well, 2 weeks ago, Colin Harris and myself went down to Alpine Affair. The Alpine Affair that Colin Stark started and has now sold to Marty. And Marty is an expert on Peugeot and Renault. In fact, at the moment he's working on a 308 HDI, pulling it apart, putting it back together again, and hopefully it'll be better than ever. So folks, there's not much I can tell you except the fact that we are still in the black. Our members are all continuing to pay their fees. We've been having some really good social outings, the last one being to Daylesford, and you'll read in my next report my exploits in Daylesford. And previous to that, of course, was Ruffy, which you all know about. Now I hope that the information has gone out to you through the weekly news that Paul Watson does with Peter Cusworth, and that will tell you that there won't be a general meeting tonight at our regular club rooms, but you will be able to access this, as you are at the moment, on YouTube and on the Peugeot Car Club of Victoria Inc. website in Facebook. Well, as much as I would like to be able to be sitting up on the dais talking to all of the members, I'm sorry I can't, but I'm down here in paradise in Sorrento enjoying it as best as I possibly can. Remember, Alpine Affair is where we are, and guess what? We had Colin Stark come in just at the end, paying us a visit, wanting to talk to Marty at Alpine Affair. So, see you later, guys. Okay guys, we are at Alpine Affair in Bayswater, and as you can see, this is the factory where it all happens. He looks after Renaults and Peugeot and anything else French, and he'll be into it. So this is just an idea of where it is, and that's the well, welcome to the Alpine Affair. You've seen the shot I did of the outside signage, but here we have Marty and Colin, and Colin, of course, is going to be asking Marty a few questions about the cars and about certainly about Renaults, but also a sprinkling of Peugeots as well. And we're just sitting in front of a 308 HDI that is having the guts taken out of it and put back in, all in about 25 minutes. So over to you, Colin and Marty.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Marty.
Yeah, you too, Tom.
So, how many years is it now that you've taken over the business from Mr. Stark?
It's just under 2 years. So I think it's 2 years, in about 4 weeks' time. We're up to 2
really?
years.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Doesn't seem like that because of COVID. It feels more like 1 year. So we had that sort of break. Everybody had that bit of a break.
How did you go during COVID with the business?
Okay, okay, we got through, so that's the main thing. We did what we were allowed to do, basically, and yeah, that was good because it got us through. Yeah, what we needed to do was keep everybody on the road. There was still quite a few emergency sort of work.
Yep.
But yeah, no, we got through okay.
Okay, that's good. Now, why did you want to become a motor mechanic, Marty?
Just started fiddling with anything mechanical from about 4 or 5 years old.
Oh, really?
When you got toys at Christmas and that, I used to pull them apart. They never went back together most of the time, but I would make something out of all these different things. And then probably my brother had a big interest in cars.
Okay.
I was never allowed to have motorbikes or go-karts or things like that, so I used to just build them. I wasn't allowed to buy them, my parents didn't buy them for me, but I used to build them up of lawnmowers and bits and pieces. Maybe from sort of 19 years old, start doing that sort of thing. And then my brother had a big interest in cars, and that sort of took over from there. Yeah.
So when you're at secondary school, did you have it on your mind that you were going to be a motor mechanic in those days?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so it was a tech school. I went to tech because of that.
Yes.
So I had that. My brother was about 5 years older. He used to play with cars. He became an electrician.
Yep.
But used to work on his cars a bit as a 11, 12, 13-year-old, just helping him, doing bits and pieces in the backyard. And then it was just something I was always interested in.
Right.
And it sort of, went from there. So I went to a tech to try and further that side of it. Yeah.
Good. And you obviously did an apprenticeship?
Yep.
Where'd you do that?
Apprenticeship was Richmond TAFE, that
yes.
stage. Yep. Which is very old style of building and the way they did their course, but it was still very fundamental. It was a really good course.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what age were you when you finished your apprenticeship?
Finished, I think 19. I finished I started I was 15, nearly 16 when I started. I started quite young. So I was probably 19, I guess, at that point. By the end of 19, maybe just turning 20, about that age would have been finishing the apprenticeship. Yeah.
Okay. So where was your first job when you left apprenticeship school?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Here?
It was
Really?
my first proper
amazing.
job, yeah. So I left school on the Friday and started working on the
Amazing.
Monday.
Getting into French cars was through Colin Stark.
Yeah, it was, I think my uncle was doing sort of apprentice, he was helping young people with apprenticeships and things like that, getting into certain apprenticeships, and he found, Alpine Fair had an opening for apprentice at the time. Not really thinking about French cars at all at the time, but that was just which was in Ringwood, and I was in Templestowe, so it wasn't too far.
No.
And he gave Colin and Steve at the time, Colin and Steve partners at the time, a really good wrap up that they were good people to work for, and if you try and go well, you'll get somewhere with them because they'll look after you at the same time. So if you try, you'll get that back in and them helping you as well. So it sounded good. Worked out, yeah.
And that's what's happened.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, some people I've heard hate French cars. They find them a bit difficult, a bit strange. So what's your opinion of that?
I've been working on them too long to have that much of an opinion in some ways, because the longer you do something for, the easier it gets. So, it's just getting used to the different way of put together. But it's probably like Saabs, Volvos. They've got their own way of doing things, and they drive differently because of that. Peugeot, Renault got that, and Citroen, they've got that driving experience that is different to anything else. And you can see that in the way they're put together. So, but you just get used to whatever you've done for a long time. What else is it really? You get used to
that. So, what's been the worst problem you've had with a French car?
Most difficult repair, or
and you can say Peugeot, we don't mind.
Everything's got there's a lot of challenges. There's always challenges. Probably some of the Welsh plug issues we've had, which to change a Welsh plug on some engines under cylinder heads, under manifolds, under water pumps, things like that.
Right.
I don't think that's unusual to any model, any make probably with other Welsh plugs. But we do a lot of electrical repair, a lot of electronic repair. Some of that's probably the most difficult, but if you do a lot of it, you start to think differently and find ways around, ways to think without just replacing a whole part. It could be $2,000 for a small computer. We've had instances where we've pulled it apart, been able to find the issue and just repair that. So sometimes that's probably the most challenging.
Okay.
The rest of it's hands-on, heavy lifting. But when you get into electronics, that's the most challenging, I'd say.
So in regard to timing belts, are they the three brands that you service, Renault, Peugeot, Citroën, are they all pretty similar in regard to changing timing belts?
Yeah, Citroën and Peugeot, nearly identical.
Okay.
Usually the same engine you're dealing with. Renault's probably a little bit harder, but that's a much more much. So again, after you've done a few, issue.
So do they all these days in the newer models use the belt rather than a chain?
Some have gone. They went to chain on a few different models. So some of the Peugeots and the 308s and the Peugeots with the petrol motor, which was used in the BMW as well, with the same motor.
So it's a chain?
That's a chain, but it's got more issues than a timing belt. You'd probably rather have a timing belt and just do it when it's scheduled. The chains had some stretching issues.
And that would stretch due to heat?
Stretch due to, it's been improved, so through the model, so the early 308s had a few issues with timing chains, but I've actually spoken to the designer and the engineer in France about this, and each year they've got a stronger chain with different material. So by the time that sort of ended, that 308 once petrol run, it was all pretty much sorted. But I mean, some of them stretched at 30,000 kilometres, but it was all that's been done on the engine, so it was all recalled. So it's okay.
So a 308 diesel motor doesn't have a chain timing?
No, that's right. Well, that's right. It's a timing belt. The current 308s have a timing belt that runs in oil inside the motor. So it's not.
And is that relatively successful, do you think?
Yeah, there has been a recall on that, so that's. But besides that, that's fine, and that's when oil changes become just as critical or more critical than they ever were, because it's running in oil, so the oil deteriorates. So it's just part of keeping servicing it up to date.
So, in your opinion, how often should the engine oil be changed? Around 7,000 or 8,000?
Regardless of what manufacturers say, you've got some service intervals going to 20,000 kilometres an hour. I'll stick to 10, stick to 10,000. It's fine. The oil we use is really good. There's no issue with 10,000. Yeah, there's no issue with 10,000 at all.
Right.
You can get to the point where you're overdoing it in some ways. Every time you pull an oil filter out, you've got to repressurise the system again. So if you're doing it every 4,000 or 5,000 or something, there's a lack of oil pressure at that start, just a little bit. So we always find 10,000. Even a lot of them are 15,000 to 20. We find 10,000 is
Yeah, do you own a French car?
Yeah. Came with the business. I do,
Okay.
yeah.
So what do you drive?
The daily is a 406 station wagon.
Okay.
Diesel. Yep.
The one out the front?
Yeah, the one it's actually been hailstone damaged, but it's too good to get rid of. It's not worth anything like that, but it's so good to drive, and the economy on those is amazing. It's done 410,000 kilometres, and it's still getting 600 around town, and down to fours on the highway. It's hard to replace that. Putting fuel in it every 3 weeks.
I think I should sell my dangle.
Well, you should have brought it here to get fixed in the first place, Lyle.
Yes. Marty, do you know anything about the Donzel situation that I'm experiencing? Nothing at all.
That story.
You're a lucky boy.
Well, you better get Lyle talking about it because we'll be here till Christmas.
Christmas.
Around.
Yes, and when my friend says to me, I'll have it for you by Christmas, I say, which Christmas?
Yes, which year? Which year?
Jeez.
So Peugeot, for example, as with many other car manufacturers now heading in the direction of electric vehicles. How is your business going to operate if you've got lots of electric vehicles? Or do you think that, you know, with the Australian government being very, very slow in adapting to electric vehicles, in my humble opinion,
yes.
I think you'll still have plenty of work for the next 10 or 15 years with petrol and diesel engines, would you not think?
100% with you there. I think even by the time that really rolls out to a really good population of electric cars, we're still going to be a lot of electric vehicles on the road. Even then, initially, a lot of people, especially companies, will go back to the dealer initially, especially under the first, until they realise that they don't have to, which happens a lot, because we still cover warranty. You know, if there's a warranty issue, it's still gets sorted. So I think there'll be still quite a few years of that. There's always a delay, even when you put a date on things, it doesn't seem to happen. They're saying 5 years, 10 years. I think it'll be 10 years before they're really mainstream. But yeah, we've got to move with that. So we've got to just update anything we need to make that work and do the training as it comes through. So to make sure we can work on those as well. So that's the plan on that side of it.
Yeah, now I'm not sure if I dreamt this or I read it. I think I read it, that China is producing thousands and thousands and thousands of electric cars every day of the week.
And Renault have got really well set up for it now. I think a good part of their manufacturing is set up for electric cars now.
Is that in France or in China?
I think in France.
Okay.
I think I heard that was in France. I was saying if you walked in there now, compared to 12 months ago, it's a totally different place. So I'm not sure on the Peugeot side what their plans were with it, but they have to. Also, they'll lose their spot as a company.
Now, we have heard Peugeot are bringing out an electric car, and in fact our Peter Wilson from Sydney has told us in our magazine that it's all starting to happen.
I think I saw Colin Stark, the other Colin, come in. And I wonder if he's now fully dressed. So
Happy jab.
Oh, yeah.
you've had your jab.
That's where I've been. That's why I thought.
Oh, very good.
You had your jab today, did you?
Yeah, just been to Sandown Racetrack and had it.
Okay.
So guys, this is
Good to see you.
No.
this is Colin Stark from the original Alpine Affair, and he sold the business to Marty. And it's just nice that he's able to pop in, because he's about to go on an 8-week journey up north, lucky bugger, and in one of his toys. It's a pity it's not a Volkswagen. But anyway, them's the breaks.
So you really need to escape Victoria by midnight tonight?
No, we'll see what happens. I thought the first thing you do is get a jab anyway.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I had mine about 3 weeks ago.
That's good.
Yeah, I feel so different.
Well, it's actually a very pertinent time for you to have Marty on here,
Well, it is very pertinent, isn't it?
because as of about today, I've got to double check to make sure it's right. As of today, Marty's finished his commitment with me financially, so that's as of today.
You mean,
So that's
Nice too, though, yeah.
So did you bring the champagne? The French champagne?
He said he is going to have it.
so does this mean that Marty will now have an extra quid in his pocket?
Correct.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
I won't.
But he doesn't want to get rid of the 406 wagon that he's got. So
That's the best car ever.
best car. He's got how many kilometres on it?
410.
410,000. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very good car.
Well, Colin, is there anything you'd like to say about the business that Marty hasn't already told us?
I'm not sure. I just came in late, so I'm not sure what's happened. But I'm very, very happy and proud of the fact that Marty's continued on with it.
Well,
And, yeah, it's great. And through his last year's efforts with COVID and that, it's a credit to him to keep it all up and running and spending money and
Yes.
continuing to improve it. So it's fantastic, and I'm really happy that those loyal customers and new customers, of course, but a lot of loyal customers from many, many years are still coming to see him.
It's a bit disappointing at the moment, just today, that there's only one Peugeot in the workshop, but there's another 10 out in the back paddock.
Quite that bad.
But at least there's one here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Some days it's all Peugeots.
Yeah,
At the moment, I think you've just got to try and grab what's there.
I think so.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the electric phenomenon that's happening? Can you see yourself in the Winnebago as an electric motor in there?
Well, I've been working on that for the last week about converting it all to lithium batteries and solar, so we can really just not worry about having to plug into power. So that's not driving the vehicle, of course, but I've got a lithium chainsaw, brush cutter, blower, and I don't put petrol in any of my gardening implements anymore, and they're just so convenient, so good, and unfortunately, or whatever, the cars are going to be electric.
And the beauty of the lithium, like my blower and my drill, is it's all the one battery.
Yes.
It charges up very quickly, and you don't have to pull this damned handle 1,500 times to get the thing going.
Correct.
Because the plugs are oiled up.
That's right, but the other thing about people with old cars who might be concerned about the future with fuel and that is there's companies that are actually, one of my neighbour's son's a chemical engineer, and he's been offered a position in New Zealand to continue development of an alternative to petrol, and they're developing a non-oil based fuel to make these older cars continue to run on the road. So that's really exciting for the future for people like us who have and appreciate the older cars.
Yep. Colin, thanks very much for coming in to us.
No problem.
We really appreciate it. It's put a bit of extra spice into it, and we'll let you go.
Thanks for today.
No problems.
I just wanted to say, I often ask this question of people, so if you had your time again, would you become a motor mechanic?
No question, definitely. Yep.
Definitely?
It's what I wanted to do.
Right.
Even at this stage where I'm a lot more in the office than I used to be, I still miss being out here full time. So
working on the tools.
I try and do that as much as I can, really.
Yeah.
But that's why Ken's a good help as well, doing a lot of the phone calls and things. But that's just the pat. Like if I don't do it for a certain amount of time, my hands get. I want to get back into it. Okay. So that's just what. Yeah, it's built in from, as I said, as a kid.
No, that's good.
Yeah, I love it.
That's good. Yeah. The other thing that mystifies me is, and maybe you can answer this question, is you've moved out here to Bayswater, and I've been searching for years for the bay in Bayswater, and I can't find it. So can you tell me where it is?
I cannot shed any light on that. The only thing I can think of is maybe at one point it was a bay.
Right.
Maybe a long, long time ago. So I'm not sure if that's
a bay or a swamp.
Yeah, maybe more of a swamp than a bay. But
right. Okay.
Yeah, if you're coming down from Ringwood or from Croydon, you're sort of going downhill into Bayswater. So I'm not. Maybe at some point.
A bay there 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Thanks again, Marty. That was great.
No problems at all.
Here you are, folks. This is the Fago, the Renault Fago. This is a special one, a turbo one. Of course, it's on club plates, and just like the Donzell, it's up on the hoist. What can you tell us about it, Marty?
Yeah, it's actually, for its age, and the Fuegos they got dismissed, and a lot of them ended up probably at the wreckers, to be honest, because they were not an easy car to work on. Probably quite an expensive car to maintain in their day, in the 80s. They were very fast in there for their time, and they drive fantastic when they're good. They had a lot of little issues that I guess caused people to eventually discard them for something else. But as a new car, I thought they were incredible to drive.
And what about these cars here? Are they? They're obviously Renaults.
Yes.
But is this one, for example, this first one, is that an R8?
Yep, that's a genuine Renault 814. It's a South African Renault 814. This one's, yeah, it's all quite original.
And then this one is an Alpine. Does this belong to Colin Stark?
No, yeah, that's
No?
behind what I know. That's not Colin's car, that particular one. It's a customer's car. It's pretty much it's a full restoration. It's engine gearbox, so it was an accident damaged car. It's going to be really nice when it's finished.
Will it cost 90,000 once it gets back on the road, or do you think a bit more?
The restoration?
The whole thing, back on the road?
From purchase price or?
Well, how about from now?
Yeah, you have to. Nowadays, you really have to allow that sort of money on a restoration.
Well, it looks pretty snazzy as it is.
Yeah, it's well on the way.
It's fantastic.
Body chassis underneath's all painted.
And then this one here, is this another 8?
Yeah, it's not a real Gordini, but it's a replica of one. Quite highly modified.
So when you say it's not original, what's been put onto it?
It's been built up so the interior would be Renault 8 Gordini. Just its badging, it's got the full headlight front, so normally the Renault 8, so they look more like the Renault 10, like the one over there.
Here we have the Renault 10, and what's that white thing beside it?
That's a Renault Fluid.
That looks like a pretty sporty little number.
Yeah, it gets a lot of attention, that one, for sure. Everybody that walks through says, geez, what's that? Somebody said a Volvo the other day, and looking at the back of it. Yeah.
So that'd be a 4-cylinder?
Yeah, 4-cylinder.
Manual gearbox?
Manual 850cc.
Right. Oh, so it's really small.
Really small, yeah.
That's about what a Renault 4
Yeah.
has, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like if you knew the Renault 750 or the 4CV,
Yep.
same engine, just bigger capacity.
I had a Renault 4 in England. It was the best car I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they drive really well for their age compared to anything else that was available. Even the Renault 10, full disc brakes, just in the engine in the back, it was drive fantastic.
Can we look at the engine in the back? Will that open up or?
This one's all pretty original.
Yeah. And what would you buy this car for today, do you think? Would you have to pay 15,000 for that?
Condition is a big, no, not that much I'd say at the moment, maybe 10, up to 10. Condition is a big factor with any old car, I guess.
Well, the last car in the fleet here is this 308 HDI that's having its engine worked on, and it was always a good car, and now it's going to be a better car, and that's about it for us. And I thank you very much, Marty, for your time here. It was really good.
Anytime.
We had a wonderful time, and if we present this at a club meeting, we'll invite you along to talk.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.